starts singing the Beatles and becomes famous, and no one knows except for two people. Then,
well, now you guess what? Now we're going this way. All right, I'm going to plug it in. We'll get some people back here, Teresa.
Hello.
Let's see if people can hear you now. They won't be able to hear me because I don't have a microphone.
That's okay.
But they don't need to hear me. You're the
Before I was like, Kelly, you're yelling.
I'm trying to yell because I don't have a microphone. And then that sounds kind of stupid, but at least I'm not singing, right? Everybody missed my Beatles song.
You did. We just sang.
We're going to have a really good...
I think we're back on.
Okay.
Diane says it's working again. And we'll just take a second here. I apologize, everybody. I touched something on my phone screen, and I went to chats, and then I went to taking a photo, and I was scrambling trying to get back. I hope you didn't hear any of that, but it was kind of difficult. So, they say they can hear us both, and I don't even have a microphone.
Good.
So hello, welcome back. We're sorry, we had a little problem with our camera. Like I just said, if you're joining us again, I touched something on the screen, and you cannot do that when you're videotaping, and I didn't mean to. And so Sherry, your hearing is fine. You don't need to go to an audiologist. Everything's good. We're all good again. We're sorry, but you know what? We're back.
Yes.
And Teresa's back.
It happened.
And Uncharted Mariner is back.
Yeah.
Which has turned out to be a really beautiful color.
It is.
We ordered a lot in, and we actually sold out, and we ordered more, and it's all back in stock. Thank you for letting us know that you couldn't hear us, for calling, for making comments. If you could see our end, it was a bit of a scramble, wasn't it, Teresa?
Yes.
It was a little bit of a scramble, but... And if you're just joining us, maybe you weren't here for part one.
Don't go back.
No.
No.
Back for the first part.
There's cards and stuff.
If you're just joining us, Teresa was showing us some of the projects that she's made, including this amazing one. And what was that die set again with this one, Teresa? Your happy birthday to you.
Oh, that's the one that's on sale. Bold text number 1.
Bold text number 1. And that's not everything that you see there. There are 7 dies, maybe? I think it's
yes
7 dies. So it's got lots of really good ones, and you could even cut them out and make yourself a little stencil if you wanted to. But I had to have a remedial lesson on this card because I was having trouble understanding it, but I get it now. Everybody loves the color. Val says it adds to the fun. So way to roll with us, everybody. Way to roll.
Yeah.
So, okay, where were we, Teresa?
Well, we were talking about the stencils number 50, set number 52.
That's the new one.
And you get, I'll just lay them out here.
Lay them out.
So there's 2 circle patterns, but can they see them okay? Can you see it okay?
If I put the camera on them, they can. I was over here.
Okay. There's 3 different patterns. 2 are circly and 1 is square. And it really just depends, when you look at it, if you see the background or you see the image.
And those come in full size.
Yes,
also.
they do.
This one's called Focus. And this one is linked circles and linked squares. But in the mini set, you get them all.
Yeah, and I really like them because they do fit onto number 8 tags, or the new number 5 tag it'll take you all the way to the edge of the tag. So I like the small ones, but I do get the big ones as well. It just kind of depends on my mood. If I tend to buy the small ones so I can get all 3.
Then you get all 3 of them. Well,
yeah, and I will just use them randomly, like on the edge of a paper, and so I make cards, and so I like the smaller ones, but some people like the bigger ones as well. It just depends on the pattern and what strikes me. You got to do you, right? Tim says.
That's right.
So I used.
Well, and Teresa, if say you can only buy 1.
Yeah.
Maybe the minis are the way to go.
The minis,
because you're actually going to get 3.
They're $12.99. Yeah. And I have repeated, you know, if I have a bigger tag and I want the small one and I only have the small one, then I will just
line it
up.
Line it
I mean, it doesn't work perfectly depending on the pattern. Obviously, the geometric ones are going to be easier to line up.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not a perfectionist, obviously. So, but anyway, this is the one I used. I showed this one last week on the oxides on this tag, and I splatted my little bird that I love, the little blue bird. And then this one I used with the texture paste translucent. So I was just explaining how I put some on a mat and then I used the spray to add my color. Now I could have used my ink as well. I could have put the ink on my mat first and then put the translucent
and then mixed it up
and mixed it, but I wanted a really vibrant color, so the spray is more condensed. And then if you could also use it with a re-inker, and that's going to be even more of a bright color. I did not get the re-inkers yet. I just had the spray, so that's what I used. And you can see, well, this is oxide, but how much brighter it is.
Very deep.
And then you put it on there, and I use my stencil, and then obviously you want to clean this right away. And it's so pretty, and I didn't make anything out of it, but it is very pretty.
It actually reminds me of tile. It reminds me of tile.
It does, doesn't it? Like a backsplash or something?
Yeah, a black splash. Or if you say you're doing a dollhouse.
Oh, yeah.
This would be a great floor or backsplash or something. I think that's pretty neat. Now Maggie did a very similar thing here with the same color. I think she used a re-inker on this, but she used the
metallic white texture paste.
So she used the metallic white texture paste and colored it.
That's just so pretty. You can see how it shines. And that's the other, that's this one.
So that one is called Focus.
So it's a little bit different. You can see the difference in the stencils.
I'm kind of proud that I remember the name of the stencils, because that doesn't happen for me very often.
I don't remember the name.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
you'll have to talk a lot.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to be, you can't hear Kelly, so I'm going to be talking. And what happens? I start talking louder.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right. So now I did some samples, and I'm still talking louder. I did some samples using three different
types of ink?
Types of ink. Well, yeah. So this little card I made using just the regular Distress Uncharted Mariner. And so I stamped the background, and I did spray my paper first, and then I inked it, and then I sprayed my stamp, and I inked it, and then it was very watery, so I did just take a little ink off with my microfiber cloth. You can use a paper towel too. Then I stamped this. I'll show you. This set is it's a fun set.
Oh yeah, what's that
this
called?
Grunged. It's called Grunged, and you get an alphabet. I use this all the time. I love this piece. The circle is also fun. I don't know why, but it's just good to just stamp on the side of a card. So I stamped this first, and then I did, like I said, dab a little color off.
I thought you sprayed it, but you stamped it with
Nope, I stamped
Grunged.
it, and then I stamped this on top. And I did go, like I stamped it like 3 or 4 times because I wanted it to show. And then I sprayed it with my spray, my Distress spray. And then I took this, and I put just a little bit of ink on it. And because it was still wet, I just kind of stamped it on the side, and it kind of got a little smeary, and that was okay.
That's really cool.
And this for amusement, for skill and amusement only, is in the eccentric, which I've been dying to use that stamp, and I was like, you know, a pig is definitely for skill and amusement.
Yes, definitely.
I think. I was going to put a little hat on him, but I ran out of time. I did stamp him with black ink, but I couldn't see him well enough, so I stamped him again, and then I fussy cut him out, and then I just watercolored him so that I didn't like him white. And then down here in the corner, that's another.
I know, I see that.
Number 09255.
Teresa,
And there's my circle.
Very cute. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's, one of Teresa and my favorite stamp sets.
I know,
the
Funny Farm.
Funny Farm.
Yes, where's Funny Farm? There
Teresa's
it is.
grabbing Funny Farm.
There's Funny Farm. The pig is probably, the pig and the cow I use the most, but the geese are fun too, because the silly goose, I like that.
Yeah. That's really a fun set.
So, this isn't even a card yet. It's just a piece of paper.
But you're ready for
but
it.
yes, I really wanted to have a sample to show you the difference. So then I use the oxide. And so let's just talk about the difference between those. So the Distress ink is more like a dye ink. And it's more translucent, see-through-ish. You can get the dye inks in the minis. You cannot get them in the oxides. Tim says that they will never probably make them in that. And it's because of the pad and the chemical way that the pad needs to be this big. So we don't have the mini in Uncharted Mariner yet because he releases them in 4s, and he just came out, or 3s.
4s.
How many? 4s. So he just came out with one. So there's no mini in this yet, but the other colors have mini.
And we carry all the minis individually.
Yep.
So you can get them whenever you want.
Yep.
And then we have a question, Teresa. It says, do you have that for sale, or is it Teresa's? So I'm thinking they might mean talking about the stamp sets.
Yeah, we have the stamp sets. The eccentric, I don't know which one she was talking about. The Funny Farm, the eccentric is $29.99. Funny Farm is $24.99. And then grunged is $24.99. And yes, I have all those stamps.
Teresa has them too, but
yes,
so does Memory Bound.
Yes, so does Memory Bound. Okay, so the inks are reactive to water, and they kind of do wicking. And we'll do a splat thing. Maggie's done that a lot, but we'll show you a little bit of that. But when I said that I sprayed it, it just gets the ink to move a little bit, so it's not just going to sit there. It's going to move a little bit, and I like that. You don't have to do that. You can stamp it perfectly straight. It was dry when I stamped that, and so it came off really pretty crisp and sharp. But
it might depend on the stamp set you're using too. If
right.
You want it to be more, I don't want to say blurry, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's reactive to water. So when I dabbed it, I lifted a little bit of the color up, and we'll show you that too. So that was the straight Distress ink. Now the oxides are a mixture of pigment and dye, and then some other binding agent that keeps them bound together. And these are more opaque, that you can't see through. So you can kind of tell the difference, because the background is more solid, and when I stamped the squigglies on top, you can't see it as well. And again, I had to stamp 3 or 4 times on that one. And this one you can see both the color behind and the squiggles. And then I just used a regular archival ink to stamp my pigs on that. The oxide inks do stay wet a little bit longer because of the pigment ink in there.
Oh, yes.
And so if I use Distress ink to heat emboss, then usually I use the oxide ink. If you don't have an embossing ink, and I'll use Tim's embossing ink in a little bit. You can use I use the oxide. He says you can use the Distress ink, but I think they dry pretty quickly.
I do too. I don't have as much luck with
yeah,
those.
and I would recommend, that. What else? When you use the oxide ink, it's a little bit of a chalkier look, and I think that you can see that just even by looking at that. But we'll do some smooshing in comparison, and then you'll be able to see how the oxide really reacts to water in a chalkier
Kind
way.
of funny, it oxidizes.
Yes, it oxidizes. That's right. You know, another thing about, sometimes people want to know about storage, and you can store the inks however you want. We have the storage tins, which I love, and they store your inks go this way. Oh,
So then you can put the labels
and I was
on
going to
it.
say, we have the labels. I didn't have the labels yet, but there it is, Uncharted Mariner. So we've got all the new colors on there. I just had to label mine so I could find them at home before we got those. But you know, these work really nicely. You can store them flat. You can store them this way. If you have leakage or whatever, just flip it this way. Tim says you can store them however you want, what works for you. They should be fine. They're not going to, your ink isn't going to go to the top of the pad. You don't have to store them upside down.
Yeah, he's always going to store them however you want.
Yeah, however you want, whatever works for you. So, all right. The other thing about the oxide that I really like, why I've started buying more and more oxides, I started out just a total distress gal, and then I started using oxides, and I'm like, whoa, I need some of that. So here you can stamp on a darker color paper, and your oxide is going to be true to color. If you were to use the regular distress ink on the craft paper, it's not going to be a true.
It's going to be more dark.
Yes.
Kind of, maybe some colors even just look wet.
Yeah, and it's just not. It just really depends on the color, because they, you know, each color is individually. It's a different chemical to get each color, so they're going to react differently. And Tim really talks a lot about different paper and the paper you use. This paper, whoops, just kidding. This paper is the distressed heavy cardstock, the craft, and I really like this. If I know that I'm going to use be using oxides on it, I like the heavier because it's wetter. Tim says paper doesn't have memory, so I like the heavier weight
Teresa,
paper.
what paper did you use? Is this normal cardstock or is this heavyweight?
No, that is the heavyweight. So we've got, I'll just show you quickly. We've got the watercolor paper. Is that watercolor paper? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a watercolor paper. So we've got it in the 8.5 by 11, or if you need a quick one, which I have both, because sometimes I like to die cut, and so if I do, then I use the bigger piece. But it's really handy to have them already cut A2 size, which is, that's what it is.
It's the same price.
It is.
Get more.
Yep.
Maggie likes that a lot.
Yeah, and then we have the mixed media heavy cardstock, and I will stamp on this as well. If I'm going to use this color, then I really like the little ones. I don't know why. I use the little ones a lot more. I have both.
There's a question about the other stamp set. The third stamp set Teresa showed was eccentric. And it's $29.99. It's got 1 million stamps on it.
Yeah.
Just 1 million.
It's great for building your own backgrounds and just adding
And then we
adding
also
a little
have
thing.
the South Dakota sisters are coming tomorrow. So
Oh,
Robin, I look
fun.
forward to seeing you and
I'll
Melanie
be here tomorrow. All right, so back to the sorry,
to
that
our
was a
pig.
little
Back to
commercial.
our pig.
Yes, back to the pig. So I also sprayed this so you can see
With the oxide?
the oxide spray. So you can see, like, it's just a chalky look. And I did the same thing with the little grungy dots, just to give it a
Awesome.
little grungy background. Then I did another card the same way. I really wanted to show you guys the difference. So here is my main distress ink, and I use the bubbles for my background. And then I use these awesome
the
new
new stencils.
stencils.
Element stencils.
This is Elements stencils, yes, and this is the one that I like. And I have them on the what are these wire
What's
things
mechanical?
called?
Cable rings.
These cable rings. I have mine on their own cable ring, and I remember I showed you guys last week this that I had made that one, and then I had to start over because things happen. But anyhow, there's my Oh, and I sprayed it with pixie spray. Look, it's
They're
you see
sticking
how
together.
you see how I don't clean my
Teresa doesn't clean her
It was
stuff.
sticking to the zero. So there's the stencil. So I stamped my bubbles first, and then I put my stencil on there, and I just inked over it. And then I used my little heart die.
Is that the
The
stacked
stacked
tiles?
tile heart, which I love. That one. And Love You, that comes out of the Noteworthy, right? And then, can you guys tell what this card says? Diane looked at it and she didn't get it. I'm like, come on, can you tell what I was listening to? What inspired me to make this card?
Let's see who gets it.
Yeah.
I got it.
You got it right away.
Remember, I sang it.
Yeah,
Luckily,
Kelly sang it when
luckily
we were
I
off
didn't have a microphone.
off camera. Yeah. So you're asking me where I got the word days, and
Yeah,
I
it was
did
funny.
get it from this little die. Where is it?
I bet it's the one that doesn't show.
Yeah. It's
Val says you can use, Tim said you can use
Yeah.
hand sanitizer to clean your stencils. Yep, Beatles, they got it.
they got it. Yay. Where
8
is it?
days a week.
Yeah. Happy birthday. And then there's an S that's the same size. And so I use
cut out the
I cut out the word from this. So remember just to be creative. You don't have to use them all together. You can split them up.
So that's for your Beatles fan, that card. That
Yes,
would be
it
perfect.
definitely is. I was listening to the Beatles channel on Sirius. And so Love You is here. And then a week, I scoured my stamps trying to find the word week, but it's not anywhere. So I just stamped some letters here, and then I just cut them apart.
Like a ransom thing.
Yep.
Oh, I love ransom stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot about ransom stuff. I'm going to make a project like that.
And then I did use eccentric again. I had to use
Teresa
the
likes
finger.
her pointy
I
hands.
love my finger. And then these numbers here. Where are they?
here.
Over here. Yep. So this set is just so versatile with the different things that you can use. Oh, and then I found a heart somewhere. It's not in this set. I don't know where that came from. But, so this is the regular. Oh, and then I inked the edges because it was too light. And
light.
this one I did use peacock feathers. That was peacock feathers. So I wanted to use a little bit of a pop of a different color. And I think peacock feathers goes really nicely with Uncharted Mariner.
It does. I like that.
So here again is the oxide version, and I think this one you can really see. So you can see how chalky the 8 is. And I think I did spray now that I recall. When I inked up my bubbles, I inked it up, and then I just took my sprayer and I just gave it a quick spray because it's such a big stamp. I wanted my ink, especially with the distress ink because it dries so quickly. I just gave it a quick mist before I stamped it. And you can't really tell on this one, but on this one you can definitely see how it oxide
yeah.
and it reacted there. And maybe I got a little bit of a bigger blob there.
Well, we
but
can see by the 8 that it's
yeah,
very
and here's
opaque.
yeah,
And over here, it's not as opaque.
yeah.
And Michelle's asking, there is not a die to cut out the hand,
No.
pointy hand. But it's pretty simple.
Yeah, but he does have, in his new release, there is a hand die in one of the sets. I have no idea which one it is, but there is a hand.
Okay, we'll have to look for that.
There
I'm
is.
not sure
I'm
either.
very excited.
Teresa can't wait.
But I do like this one. There's a place for stamps and there's a place for dies, and so then, of course, I had to do it on the craft as well. So you can really see the oxidation. You know what I did? I sprayed the, when I had my stencil,
Oh, you kept your stencil
I
on
did.
it?
I kept my stencil on it, and then I had to mask off because I didn't want it sprayed on the rest. You should have seen me. I was masking off.
Grabbing everything
Yes,
you could.
I had all these scrap pieces of paper because I didn't want it to impact the rest of my card, and I gave it a little mist because I wanted you to be able to see how it oxidized right on that 8 there. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's hard to see on camera,
I
but
you spent a lot of time on this.
yeah. And then I ink the edges, of course.
Val says it's the postage set coming, the new die postage.
Postage?
And those are supposed
Okay.
to arrive today,
Yeah.
everybody.
Woo, I'm so
I
excited.
haven't looked at updated tracking, but
Oh.
as of yesterday, they were in Kansas and they were supposed to get here today.
Well, that's pretty close. So, okay. So, we were going to show
Yeah,
you.
What are we doing now? What do we
Yeah.
have to do?
So, you know, maybe it's hard to see
Probably on
online.
yeah, on TV. It's
You
hard
just
to see.
have to, you know, if you haven't used an oxide before, just buy one. Pick your favorite color. You don't necessarily have to get Uncharted Mariner, but pick your favorite color or the color that you use most often and get an oxide and see what you think. You might really like it because of the chalkiness. I don't necessarily stamp with them a lot, but I do use them with stencils and blending the edges. I really like the way that it looks. I do backgrounds with them as well. And you can, when you do a background, mix your oxides and your distress inks.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
It gives it a little bit different look, but when you smush your inks onto your pad, you just want to kind of keep them a little bit separate. And maybe we can do that. We'll see. I feel like this is going a long time because we had a problem.
We had
but
a little technical
yeah.
problem.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you, we're going to do our heat embossing. How about that?
I think that would be great.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions about heat embossing.
Okay, good.
And how to use the glazes.
So we'll do that. So this is the Distress embossing ink that Tim has. But like I said, he has the oxide. You could use the oxide ink as well, and maybe we can do that. We'll see. But
Or other embossing inks. It doesn't have to be Tim's Distress ink.
yeah.
That just happens to be what we have.
So we have a new tool that Kelly asked me to use,
yes.
and it's the Pink and Main Magic Anti-Static Brush, and that is $8.99. And if you don't have one of the pillows, what are they? Anti-static pillow.
Pillows, yeah.
You might want to get one of these because I felt like in using it that I had more control, and it has this nice little brush. Ooh,
The powder's coming out.
that was kind of fun. Do that again. So it has this piece. Maybe you have a little more control. Oh, you do. Look at that.
So it's
you
got
would.
the powder in the.
It has the powder in the
and
base
it's very
here.
easy to fill.
Yep.
And you can get more powder separately, but I think this is a pretty long supply.
Yeah, this is going to last you a while. But I really liked it because I felt like I had a little more control. With the powder, you're kind of just, I don't know, it's pouncing.
Well, you don't have to get your fingers powdery with this.
Oh, that's true. So I guess I don't need to go over the whole tag. I was just going to emboss up here on the top. So this is useful so that when you heat emboss, your fingers have oil on them, and when you touch your paper, it gets on there. So sometimes the powders might stick to that, or just because of the air and how static electricity. This
true.
powder is just, you know, it just goes everywhere sometimes. And so static electricity will get it to stick places that you don't want it to stick. So you can use this little tool. Where'd it go? I have to get used to what it looks like on my table.
It's cute.
It is very cute. So there's that. So we're going to use the embossing ink, and I just have that alphabet that I showed you, and I'm just going to ink it up.
Wendy Jean says she heard that you shouldn't touch the brush with your fingers because of the oils in your fingers, but it's
Oh,
hard,
really?
It's hard not to because it's so soft.
I didn't touch at home. Oh, where's my thing?
You got to use your Stampendable.
Yes, use my Stampendable. All right. Oh, and then look what I have.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Now she's using the handle it because
I
we are
couldn't help-
using heat.
I guess I don't need to use it right now, but.
So the anti-static brush, what that does, it helps keep your ink from sticking to places you don't want it to stick. And this stamp set is kind of distress looking, so it might
It is.
look like it's in places where you don't want it, but
So there my powder, yes, my powder is kind of all over the place, which is okay. And I didn't put powder down there, so there was a little piece there. Yeah,
Teresa,
I could have picked a better,
do you think you could use that powder on the back of stickers?
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it can turn stickers into die cuts.
And it's kind of nice because I feel like when I use the pillow, the powder just goes everywhere. And I really felt like I had more control with having this in my hand. So,
I like the little handle it. That's a newer tool from Ranger. And it's like,
yes,
it's got these little hands, these little rubbery hands.
they're so cute. They make
And
me
they
think
are
of
very
Minions
cute,
too.
And it's only $3.49, so it's very reasonable.
So instead of using tweezers, and it just adds fun, just sitting on my table, they're just fun. They make me laugh.
Could you use them for ice cubes maybe, or for having it at a party?
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh, Wendy Jean said it. She says it looks like Mickey Mouse hands.
Oh, Mickey
And it
Mouse
does,
hands.
it
That's
does.
probably why they're not Tim's, are they? They're just Ranger.
Just Ranger.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great idea. I don't know who came
yeah.
up with it, but I love it.
I can't believe Tim doesn't use them because he loves Mickey stuff. So, okay. So the thing about the embossing glaze is that you don't want to overheat it, because if you overheat it, then it will go flat.
Okay, and somebody mentioned earlier that they had problems with it not
Yes.
working.
Yes. So the trick is, one, if you have the little hands or tweezers, whatever you, or you could use a paper clip, or not a paper clip, a
big
clothesline clip, or
sure.
whatever you have.
Clip.
Yeah, chip clip, whatever you're using. Those might melt. I don't know. It's helpful to hold your item up off the table, because then the heat, it gets hotter and transfers through it.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, if I know sometimes there's things where I heat emboss and I'll put it in my splat thing and it blows all over, and I'm like, I feel like a cat chasing something. These are much more helpful to be able to hold it up so that the heat goes through. The other thing that you want to do is you want to preheat your heat gun. So I'm just going to hold it over to the side as I talk more about the glaze. And
Teresa, tell us why you need to preheat. Why?
Because you want the heat to be at the right temperature to melt it, so that you're not holding your heat gun over the spot and then holding it there too long
and blowing it
and
off.
blowing. Right. Now, you probably saw me tap mine, and Tim is a not tapper. He just, wherever his ink goes, it goes, and he doesn't, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right? So, I'm a tapper. I have a hard time not tapping, and he says not to tap because then some of your powder comes off, which is true. So, okay, Kelly, we're going to try this now. Is it going? I'm having a hard time seeing it.
It's hard because it's clear, so it's hard to see it as much. Oh, okay.
Did it go?
Now it's starting to. Yeah, we have a really good camera angle here because we can see how it's getting glossy.
Oh, there, I saw the 9. Did I get everything else?
Maybe come along this edge here. Looks pretty good.
And so you can just kind of then, angle it and make sure that all your stuff, it's going to be shiny.
Tip it this way a little bit in the light. Well, trying to show. There, now, okay, there we can see how it's shiny. Looks good.
I like that.
So the trick is not to overheat.
Yes, don't overheat. And it's hard. Like normally I would be holding it and looking at it like this as I'm heating. I'm trying to show you guys. So yeah, it's a little bit trickier. But I really like the embossing powder or glaze. I keep calling it powder. It's not powder, it's
They
glaze.
call it a glaze. It is a powder, but they call
It's a
it
powder,
glaze.
yes.
Now,
Yes.
Denise does something that I do too. She's a tapper. And then sometimes if you get powder somewhere where you don't want it, just take a tiny paintbrush and move it out of your way. Oh, what are you doing now?
Well,
Oh,
I wanted to show this tool. This is the embossing dauber, and this is a Ranger one. Tim has one too.
they both work the same.
Yeah, they both work the same. He says something about his. I don't know what. I can't remember. But I'm just going to put some, and that's how I did that. So if you have big areas, or you can, I'm just going to put my powder on here and then I'll tell you what I do. You can take and I just dump it on. It drives me crazy when people are like, ooh, pour the powder. Just dump it on. Okay, we'll see what happened. Okay, we got a nice edge there. That looks good.
Teresa, I like that.
So look, because you can
be able
go
to use
in.
your hands?
Yeah. Okay.
You handle it?
So one thing you can do, somebody was talking about, you can use the pen. There's an embossing pen
yeah,
to
we
color
have
the
that.
people. Or you can, this is a lot thicker. I don't think
Just
you can
use like
see
a
it.
little paintbrush.
But you could use a paintbrush. If you just have this and you don't have the embossing pen, then you could use a paintbrush. And I have done that before. And it's also thicker. So if you want a big, thick one.
Big blob?
Yeah, a big blob. So
Teresa,
we'll
I
just,
think you have just made a pretty cool tag.
I know, but I just need to stamp something on the bottom.
So while Teresa heats that up and melts it, I'll just come over here and I'll show you some of the things she's using, like the Pink and Main Magic Anti-Static Brush. She's used the Grunge stamp set. She used the set of thinness, which happens to be on sale right now. And that's Vortex number 1. She used the Eccentric stamp set. You got quite a pile here, too.
I do.
And there's Noteworthy. And of course, doing it?
Okay. And there's my glazed edge. And I could have just inked it, but I think it looks good with the glazed letters too.
I like it.
And numbers. I guess there's numbers on there too on that stamp set, isn't there? Yeah, that's kind of fun. Ooh, I think I need to ink some of that. Do some more inking. All right. So do we want to show other stuff, or are we done?
Were you going to spray, Teresa?
I was going to spray.
I say you should spray, and
Okay.
then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
Teresa had a little bit of stuff on there.
Okay. I'm just going
So Teresa's got one more thing to show. She's going to show us some spraying, which she did on some of her cards here, like this one. Spraying or splattering, I'm not sure what you want to call it, Teresa.
I have the splat box that Tim has, and I actually do have two. They're $8.99. I have one that I use for glitter. I only had one, and then I started using glitter, and it would not come out of the box, and I'm like, nope, I'm not putting anything else in there. So if I use my glitter duster in particular, I'll glitter dust, and then I don't really care. But this is my regular one. You can see that it's well used. And you know, I used to go this way, and then I saw Tim do it this way, and I'm like, oh, there's so much more room on the base. try not to spray up over. I sprayed a Longenberger basket once, and then I got a splat box. So, yes. So let's try the oxide. So I shouldn't have shaken it. So I don't know if you can see, but it really settles to the bottom. And so you need to really shake it up. Can you hear that little bead in there? That's gonna make sure it gets it shakes it up a little bit. And you know what? I'm gonna just start with this plain tag. This tag has embossing powder and glaze on it. I've got glaze everywhere. All right. So, yep, it looks like, and I'm doing it that way because if you shake it up and down, then sometimes the ink will come up out of the top, and it gets it gets kind of messy. So, you know, you can do a slow. That's kind of a slow, and I like to do it slow because I like the bigger blobs. You can do it big like that.
What happens if you, oh, and now you're going to spray it?
Ooh, you can see how it's kind of oxidizing there. See how it's oxidizing? Ooh, look at that. I like that.
It is just a pretty color.
It is. The other thing you can do is if you want more, sometimes I'll just take it out and just do it like that, and you can get bigger droplets. Did I get blue on you, Kelly? Oh my gosh.
Just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought I felt something on my hand.
I just splatted Kelly, you guys. Oh gosh.
It's okay.
So I'm just going to dip this back in so you can see. So sometimes I will just tap it with my finger. Did you see how I did that? Like that. If you want less of a spray. But I'm really liking that today.
And they're asking what is the second spray is the question. I'm not sure what that means.
I used the Distress Spray tool that Tim has, and I just sprayed water on it. Now if I could take my microfiber cloth, and just pull a little bit of color off, and you can really see how it's oxidizing. All right, now this one I wanted to, I'm going to use the regular spray. I just wanted, and you don't have to shake this one up. Ooh, those are big. How about if
I like it when you tap it with the cloth.
Kelly's backing up.
Getting back. I got to get back for that.
See, I'm just using my finger and just tapping on the side. Let's see what happens if we... I'm gonna have blue fingers today. See, a little bit happens. Ooh, cha-cha.
It's just something you can play with.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I like that.
Yeah, that turned out nice.
Now I would probably, I would put a finger on there, and I would probably put a die cut, and I would make it, a fun little tag, and then I could put it right on my card. I really like the oxide background too. I think I'm going to have to get more sprays in oxide because I really like how the chalky background looks. The other thing you can do, so guys, you can layer colors on top of colors. So what you have to do first is dry it. So if dry on dry is going to layer. If it's wet, it's going to blend, because we saw how when I sprayed this with water, it moved around, the ink moved around. So if you want to add other colors, you can, but dry it with your heat gun first and then layer more colors on top. You can even put more of the same color on there if you want something more intense with the spray. But I really like how that
Great.
turned
I
out.
love it.
Yeah.
I think it turned out good.
Yeah.
I think your hands are
I
very
kn-
messy.
They're
Got
definitely
blue hands.
Uncharted Mariner today. I don't think I got myself
think you're
any,
good.
but I
You're
got
good,
you.
Teresa.
I don't know
just
how
got
that
little
happened.
splatters.
I
No
know.
big deal. So, well,
Any other questions?
I don't think so. I think that covers it for everybody. Oh my gosh, Teresa, your cards. We have a mess.
Yeah.
We do have a mess.
You know, you guys, I didn't use the paint, but there is paint as well. So don't forget about the paint. It's very nice as well for
Very
for
smooth.
covering things. Yep, very smooth.
Teresa, thank you so very much. And everyone, I think we've been inspired with the Uncharted Mariner today.
You're gonna love it 8
So-
days a week.
Yeah, you're going to use it 8 days a week, like Teresa said.
Yep.
So thank you, and thank you, Teresa, and everybody send in hearts. So, and I'm trying to yell because I don't have a microphone, but have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.